Hey YouTube, welcome back to part 3 of the Kings Island history video series here that I created for me. I want to turn this light off up above here behind me. I think it's too much light on the actual video itself. Maybe I'm too dark, I don't know. Comment down below if it's too dark. Sorry if it is. I just thought maybe it'd be better with the light not shining too bright, you know, over on that way. So let me do it this way. And welcome back to my kitchen. You know, I try to keep the video as short as I could, but Kings Island, there's a lot to talk about with Kings Island. We discussed most of the rides already, except for 2. I forgot to mention about Son of Beast, and I did ride Son of Beast with the loop and without the loop. The only part, the smooth part of the ride was going up the hill and going through the loop when it had the loop. Okay, that was the only smooth part of the ride. The rest of the ride was pretty darn rough. And then without the loop, you know, without the loop in the roller coaster, it still was pretty rough. So there was really no smooth part except for going up the first hill. You know. It was just unfortunate because, you know, Son of Beast was a great coaster. I mean, it was a great design, but it had a little bit of design problem with it, you know, with the wood cracking, a little too much stress in certain areas of the ride, and I think that was what made its demise. And the biggest problem with Son of Beast was that, you know, when it was designed and when it was being built, actually when it was first being built, if you remember correctly, there was a windstorm that came through there, and it kind of, not part of the construction part of the hill, I think it was the first hill maybe, I'm not sure, but part of the ride collapsed, okay, and they had to rebuild it. So that did delay the opening of Son of Beast. And that happened in March, I believe it was. And plus they had some electrical problems because lightning strike, it did take a lightning strike also to Son of Beast. So it had electrical issues as well. So with the lightning strike, they had to rewire part of the ride. It took a direct hit of lightning one time, and that was before they actually had the lightning catchers, which what I mean is like the rods that they put in certain areas of the ride to help catch lightning and channel it straight to the ground. It wasn't up and running yet, so the lightning struck the ride, and it did a lot of damage to some electrical components to the ride. So, you know, it was destined to be doomed from the get-go. It was unfortunate because, you know, that thing stood out and it was prominent. I mean, it was right there up front, you know, toward the front of the park. It was big, it was bad, and it was something. I mean, it looked awesome. Definitely was a skyline changer at Kings Island. I mean, it really stood out there, and it looked really nice. And it's really a shame because, you know, it was a big, expensive coaster, and midway through the construction part, Paramount had fired the builders that was building the roller coaster, and it was called Roller Coaster of America. I believe that's the name of it. And it was based out of Cincinnati. And they went ahead and finished building it in-house. So in other words, they used in-house construction teams to finish building the ride. So I don't think that was a good idea. So it was really unfortunate. It really was. I think it was Roller Coasters of America, something like that. But the damage was done before the ride even opened. Okay, so with lightning strike, with part of the coaster falling down during a windstorm, a real windy thunderstorm come through there and blew part of it down. That helped make it, you know, make it not to be the coaster it needed to be. And it's a shame, it really is. It was the only wooden coaster on the planet that had a loop. I mean, what the hell? I mean, I was like, how are they going to do that? But whenever they built it, I was amazed. I mean, I was like, wow, look at that big loop. it was a good coaster. I mean, in you know, the way it looked. Now, you through a milkshake, I mean, you felt like a milkshake going through that thing. So yeah, you banged up pretty good. Your legs were banged up, and oh my God, bruised up. And that coaster was a badass. It was a badass coaster. Badass is in really rough. So it's really unfortunate because you know, it was a prominent ride, and I wish that Cedar Fair would have kept it and would have did an RMC on it. I think that if they would have done an RMC on it, I'm sure they could have made something good out of that ride, and it's a shame they didn't do that. So I guess they had the reasons why that they didn't use RMC, but I wish they'd had it. I really do. I mean, look what they did with Mean Streak up at Cedar Point. Don't let a rough coaster. That was a rough one. And look at it now. I mean, look, fantastic job with Steel Vengeance. I don't know what's going on up there with roller coaster crashing, trains colliding. I mean, it's happened with Magnum. It's happened with Mean Streak in the past, and then it happened again with Steel Vengeance. And now, on Raptor, it had a collision one time. It was a minor one. And then now Valravn. So I don't know what the problem is with Cedar Point. It might have something to do with the lake water. I know that there's like being up there on the lake. There's you know, a lot of different types of moisture, and who knows? It might have some kind of lake conditions with it. But unfortunate, that was unfortunate with Valravn. So hopefully Cedar Fair can get that ironed out and not have those problems with the coasters colliding. Let's hope that don't ever happen again. Cedar Fair, well, especially for Kings Island, the maintenance is exceptional. I mean, you got to say, I mean, Kings Island's maintenance department's done really, really well. Safety record of Kings Island is very good. The deaths at the park, the one with Flight Commander, the lady that fell out of that, she was drunk, and it was a poor ride design. And again, that was from Intamin. It was an Intamin ride, designed and manufactured by Intamin. And they did come back and they did correct it, but the popularity of the ride waned off, so the ride just wasn't very popular anymore. So they pretty much just, you know, the popularity of it plummeted. So did the ride. So they got rid of it. But I wish it would have went out a little higher. I mean, I've said that before in my video. I just wish it would have went up a little higher. You know, I mean, swing out a little bit more, because it just didn't really swing out very much. You know, you didn't get much functionality of it except for sit there and roll around this way and roll that way, and that was about it. You know, you couldn't really go up and down too far. So it was unfortunate. You know, and I don't think I even mentioned the Zodiac, the big double wheel that used to be at Kings Island. I don't know if I mentioned that in my last video. But Zodiac was a great ride also. It was a another Intamin made ride. It's made by Intamin, and it was a very tall type Ferris wheel. So other parks had other versions, and then there was a tri version where it had 3 different wheels. And if you ever watch the movie Beverly Hills Cop 3, you'll see that specific ride in that park at Great America, California's Great America. Back then they had a tri one where it was 3 of them. So Kings Island had the double one where it went like this side would be down, and you know, it had like claws, and that had the baskets there, and you go in the cages and they lock the cages, and then and there's like 12 of them, and then it would rise, and the other side was up there spinning at the time, and these people over here was up there riding, you know, getting a ride on, and then it would come down, and then this one would go up, and it would turn, you know, the claw would turn sideways, and then the cages would go around like this, you know, like a Ferris wheel like this. And then you can also spin the cage as well. So it's kind of freaky because it's a pretty high ride. It was up there pretty high. But Zodiac was a good ride, and it also left Kings Island in the late 80s. Late to mid 80s. 87, I believe, when the Vortex come in, is when Zodiac went out. And I was working there at the time at the park, and Zodiac went to Australia's Wonderland, which was a brand new park that opened in 1985 in Sydney, Australia. And that park also was owned by Kiko at the time. Now, when Paramount bought the parks, they sold off Australia's Wonderland, went separate. Paramount didn't want the park in Australia, so they didn't take it. Now, they did take the one in Canada, the Canada's Wonderland. That did go with Kiko with the sale to Paramount. And when Paramount sold the parks to Cedar Fair, Cedar Fair did take all the old Kiko parks, with the exception of Australia's Wonderland. Now, Australia's Wonderland is also defunct. It is no longer there. They tore it. It was a beautiful park. It was a sister park to Kings Island. However, they didn't have an Eiffel Tower. They had a couple other, various rides. It was tall rides. They had like a big drop tower and things like that. And they also had their rendition of the Beast, and it was called the Bush Beast. That was the name of it, Bush Beast. And it was just like the Beast here in Mason, Ohio. And unfortunately, it also has been torn down as well. And it's really sad because that was definitely a sister to the Beast here in Mason, and it was pretty much almost identical to it. It wasn't the same identity, but pretty close to it. And it's a shame. Anyway, they inherited a few rides from Kings Island, like the Bayern Curve, the Zodiac, and I believe the Skylit, or no. Yeah, I think the Skyride went there. And a few other little small rides went to Australia's Wonderland, and unfortunately, we lost them to them. But that's what happens in the company. They'll move rides around to other parks and move attractions around sometimes, and try them out in other parks, see if they'll become popular again with other parks. Then also failed to mention Banshee. Banshee is really a unique coaster because it is built to the ground. The terrain at Kings Island is really awesome because the roller coaster builders can use that terrain to the ability to make a coaster better and faster and so forth. And I think that might be what's going to happen with the new Giga coaster that we're going to be getting next year in 2020. I think they're going to use the terrain to its ability to probably put something big into it that we don't know about yet. Okay, maybe the blueprints might be not all the way right, and then again they might be right. But if there could be a special thing in there that we're missing that we don't know about that they might pull off and make this ride unique. So Cedar Point's got an Intamin Giga, and Kings Island's going to have a B&M Giga. So there's going to be a difference between the Giga coasters in Ohio. So yes, I'm happy Kings Island's getting a Giga. Yes, in the future I would love to see a Flyer come back, or even a floorless coaster, and maybe even a stand-up coaster wouldn't hurt. If they can maybe get it to where it won't be so painful. Like Mantis at Cedar Point was really painful. On your balls for the guys. Sorry for the slang, but it was really painful, and also a little bit painful for the legs because of the G-force and stuff on it. Sometimes you come off that ride, you feel like Jello. Your legs will feel like Jello. So, okay. But anyway, I want to keep this to a last video to talk about Kings Island for now. When I worked at Kings Island, I started in the year 1985, and I had a ball. I'll tell you what, Kings Island treats their employees excellent. Well, back then they did, and I'm sure that Cedar Fair does too. They have employee parties. They have lots of things for employees. They got bonuses. Like you stay all year, they'll give you a nice big bonus check at the end of the season. They give away a car, like if you have perfect attendance. That's what they did with us, and with Kiko, Kings Island Corporation. That was called Kiko, K-E-C-O, Kiko. And that's who they were whenever I worked with them. And there's also owners with Channel 12 out of Cincinnati, also owners with Chiquita Banana. And Carl and his brother owned that. They also own UDF Ice Cream, and stores. UDF stores, Carl Lindner, and his brother. I forgot what his brother's name is. I think his name is Ed. He's got a brother though, but he's a silent partner. So, but his family still owns Chiquita Banana, and they also still own UDF, United Dairy Farmers. I loved working with Kings Island. It was fantastic. We had a great cafeteria with really good food for the employees and stuff. They gave us our breaks and things. They was really good to us about that. And then they gave us employee ride time, at nights. Sometimes the supervisors would operate a few rides and let us have like maybe the Beast and Rivertown, let the Beast be open, and maybe a couple other rides, there in Rivertown, maybe a log ride or Whitewater Canyon. Now Whitewater Canyon went in the year I started working there in '85, and I started working in Rivertown Potato Works right there close to the entrance of Whitewater Canyon, and it was really fun. It really was. We had a great time, and like I said, in '86 I was there when Skylab, Zephyr, and the new Dodgems went in. The new Dodgems, which where they're at now, is much bigger than what they had before. The other one was so small and there's so many cars on there that you couldn't hardly move. And it was in a rectangle shape. It was rectangle. It wasn't a circular type of ride. Now this one here is circular, much bigger, much better. So that was the year we got in '86. And then '87, of course, Vortex. And yes, I was first rider on Vortex. I told you that in the first video. I was on a cleaning crew, and it was in the middle of March, and it was cold, man. It was really cold, but we got to ride it, and we had a great time with that. And also, here's another Vortex times. And this one here is talking about Vortex. We got the original logo. This is when it was still under construction. Now this Vortex magazine was March of '87. The other one I showed was April of '87. And it was a picture that they took in March right after they got done building Vortex. We had to wait until they went through a lot of the safety checks and things like that, but we was riding the coaster before it even got inspected by the state of Ohio. It was the guinea pigs. But I'll tell you what, we had a ball. We had a blast. Yes, the roller coaster got stuck a few times going around the track, and they had to loosen the wheels a little bit because the wheels were too tight, and you should have heard it when it first started. It was squeaking. It had that squeaking sound like rubber on metal squeaky sound, because of brand new wheels, So it was pretty neat whenever they first started it up, and it barely was making it. It didn't. It valleyed a couple times, and they had to get it unstuck. But it did valley a few different times. But, look at there. We had George Jetson. Remember George Jetson? And we had them for characters. And they were talking about the train there. And then we had, they was talking about Fantasy was live shows lineup in '87. And then they was talking about the Wild Animal Habitat Ranger. There was a guy that was a ranger here talking about him, that he was Employee of the Month. And then, and also 1986, they said 1986 was the first year that Kings Island topped 3 million customers in 1 year. And that's awesome. That's the highest in the 15-year history of Kings Island. So it did top just barely 3.19 million. So that's a lot. That's a lot. So that was with Winterfest too, because remember they did have Winterfest back in the '80s. Winterfest was cold, but I'll tell you what, we had fun. And 1 year we got snowed in, and remember the Kings Island Hotel, the inn they had across the street, kind of down a little bit across the street there. They used to have their campground, but they also had a Kings Island inn that was featured in the Brady Bunch. If you watch that episode, you can see that in there. We got to put up in over there because we were stuck. We got stranded. It started snowing real hard. It was a night on Winterfest. So some of us employees that was working over there, we got stuck over there. So they went ahead and put us up in a hotel over there. So at least we got to spend the night there, but for free. But we still had to work though, because we couldn't call off work next day or whatever because we was right there anyway. So, but you know what, Winterfest is better with the snow, because back then we had either horse carriage rides or it was horse and sleigh rides. When it snowed, it was a sleigh ride. When it was dry, it was a carriage ride. So that was one of the big fun things there with that as well. When I started working at Kings Island, like I said, I really enjoyed it. Here's my original name tag now. I got these little apples. Well, I don't know where my little red apple went. I just lost my little red apple. It's right here somewhere. Anyway, oh, here it is on the floor. Hang on a second. This is my original name tag here with Kings Island. I got these apples on here. I stuck them on there. It's got my name covered, but it says food service here, and it's got the original Kings Island logo with the Eiffel Tower over here. And there's a green apple. Here's a red apple that fell off. It fell off my name tag. There it is. And then there's silver, another silver, and a gold. Okay, the top apple you can get is a gold apple. The lowest you can get is a green apple. So we used to have this Apple program, and I'd turn in all these Apple cards, and I kept getting these little Apple stickers to stick on my name tag. Well, hell, I had so many Apple cards, and I'm not going to brag, but I mean, I was an outstanding employee. I mean, I always worked, come in on time, showed up for work, worked overtime, we worked extra shifts, come in when we got called in, had perfect attendance, and that was one reason. And plus, I had a chance to get a brand new car that year. Well, one of the years I worked there, because I did have perfect attendance, but unfortunately I didn't win. It was another friend of mine, and he did win the brand new car, brand new Chevrolet car. It was really nice. But that was the standard blue tags, standard blue Kings Island tags. Now, I believe it was in 1988, they came out with Service Excellence. And again, that was an update from the Apple program, and they switched up to Service Excellent, and then we got these gold badges. Now, these are gold badges. Now, they're not real gold. It's just gold, gold badges, and it says Service Excellence on here. And that means that people who had done a really, outstanding job and everything got to wear these gold badges. And I was proud to be able to get that gold badge. And then I turned all my other apples in, but I ended up getting a green apple. Now, it was really hard to get more apple once you had this gold, and to get the apples was very hard to get on this tier. So it made it a little trickier. But it was something different. Also, Milk Money was filmed in Lebanon, Ohio, and the premiere was done at Paramount Kings Island, and that was way back in 1994. Okay, and here's my tickets for the admission for Milk Money. These were handed to us for free since I was in the movie Milk Money with Melanie Griffith and Ed Harris. The premiere was at the American Heritage Music Hall there at the front gate, also known as the Paramount Theater back then. And the movie was played there 1 week before it was released to the box office. And yes, I am in that movie, and that's how I got free admission. And we had special tickets for Milk Money only for this premiere for that day, and I still got the tickets for that. So anyway, that was fun. That was fun. We had a good time, and I thought I'd share that with you. And here's one of my service awards that I got with Kings Island. Service award for me, and that was one of them. And here's another one, and this one here was signed by Dan Zimmerman, and he's still with Kings Island, I believe. And he was a super nice guy. Oh no, Dan Zimmerman, he's with Cedar Fair now. That's right. He moved up in the company, so he's with Cedar Fair now. Okay, and that is signed by him himself. And I tell you what, Betty Reebok, all these guys were awesome. I'm telling you, I loved working at Kings Island. It was so great. Had a good time, and I got these service awards and stuff, and I was really recognized. Okay, 1993, when Paramount bought Kings Island, It was very opening day, and right here is the top of the newspaper. It says April 11th, 1993. I got to hurry because we're going to run out of time again. And on here, I don't know if you can read that, but if you can maybe mute or pause the video right now and stop it, and you can read it. What it is, it says there's 3 guests that went to the hospital because a part fell off the vortex. What had happened was one of the wheels came loose, and it was one of the wheels on the inside carriage. You know how the roller coaster wheels are. You got your top wheels that runs along the rail on the vortex, and then you got the under wheel, and then you got the inside wheel. Well, the bottom wheel came off of one of the trains on the second car, and that was a car that we was riding in. And during the ride, it was a very rough ride, and the coaster train was just doing this shit all the way through there. It scared the living crap out of us. We didn't think we was going to make it back. Well, we didn't make it back to the station, because whenever the train come through the first set of brakes at the end of the ride, we kind of skimmed through them, but then whenever we got down to the next set, before you go into the station, the train got stuck there. And, I mean, it just abruptly stopped. And what happened was the whole wheel mechanism just turned. And it got hung up in the brakes. So they kept on pushing the button, the ride operator was trying to get us to come, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with the train. So one of the ride workers, in the station, come and looked, and he goes, "Oh my God, look at that!" And here I am freaking out. I'm going, "Oh my God, what? I knew there's something wrong, because there's something wrong with." And we had orange paint all over our faces, because it scraped the track, and the orange paint was all over us. I mean, me and 2 other people that was in our car, and plus other people in the back of us in the other cars. They didn't have the jarring effect where it really messed them up like it did us. So we did have to go to the hospital and be checked out, and we did have some bruising and things like that. But yeah, it was really sad, because I didn't think I was going to make it back. I thought we were going to die. I mean, because and where it fell off at was, we went up the first hill. We went up the hill, no problem, and we went down the first hill. We came up, and you know how it comes up that second hill after the first drop. It comes up, and then it kind of goes around like this over top of La Rosa's Pizza Patio in Rivertown. Well, right there, that's where one of the wheels fell off and almost hit a person on the ground there on the patio, real close. And you could hear it hitting the metal as it come off the coaster train. We heard it. I mean, you could hear it, bang, 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 bang. And I mean, because it made a loud, banging noise, as it went down, as it was hitting some of the support beams. So it was real scary. It really was. And I knew something was wrong. And then our car started doing that shaking and stuff. I was like, holy shit. And I didn't think we were going to make it back, but we did. And thank God, nothing bad happened. Like I said, Kings Island's got really good maintenance, okay? I'm not going to sit there and say they don't. But they do, and I do have a lot of faith in their maintenance. Here's the date on that Cincinnati Enquirer. I kind of folded the paper up and made a copy, but the date is April 11th of 1993. Okay, that was the year that Paramount took it over, and that was opening day whenever this happened. It was on April. Actually, it had been April 10th. The opening day was April 10th, because this was Sunday, April 11th. So it was the day before, on Saturday, when the incident happened, and it was in the Cincinnati Enquirer the very next day. And it says, part falls off vortex at Kings Island. So, it's about 12:20 p.m. on Friday. Now, it says on here no one was injured. Well, no, we were injured. They didn't want to make things bad publicity, and I can understand that. So, but Kings Island was very respectful to us. They took good care of us. They wasn't bitching at us or nothing. They wanted us to get checked out. They wanted to make sure everything was okay. They even called my home and asked me how I was doing and okay. And that's why I say they was really good to us. So Kings Island is a good company, okay? Now, I don't know about Cedar Fair, but from what I've seen at Cedar Point, I'm sure they're the same way. And from what I hear from friends of mine that does work at the park, they say that they're pretty good. Yes, I do have somebody that works in rides maintenance at the park. Yes, that is who I know that can tell me some inside information, but a lot of times he don't even know everything. Okay, because they keep him in the dark as well, because he's not a supervisor, and he's not in management. He's not up in management. So all he hears is bits and pieces, and a lot of times he don't even know for sure exactly what's going to happen, but sometimes he does. That's just like I said, this Giga that's coming, I know it's a Giga coaster coming, but how tall and how fast, I don't know that, okay? We're going to find that out. Roller Coaster Day coming up, and I believe it's August around the 14th. Let me look on the calendar real quick and see if it's up. Never know, it might say on the calendar. Well, actually, no, not on this calendar. That's just a standard calendar, so it's not going to say. But anyway, thank you for watching. Subscribe, please. Share, like. Please comment down below. Tell me what you like about the video. Tell me about future videos. I've been in a lot of movies. I will talk about them. I'm going to do another video about the movies I've been in. Also, I'm going to do books that I've been in. I've been part of books over at Lesorsville Lake / Americana Amusement Park books that was written, and also with Fantasy Farm Amusement Park, both of those parks in Middletown, Ohio. I'm in those as well, from a good friend of mine, Scott Fowler. Okay, and the movies I've been in, and celebrities who I'm related to. One of them was a very big celebrity, and I will reveal that person probably in the next video. Very famous actor, and yes, you do know of him. So, but anyway, I'm not going to brag about nothing, because you know what? He's lucky, not me. I'm not as lucky as he is. I wish I was, but it is what it is. All right, this is 32 minutes. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe. And if you do, I promise I'll subscribe back to your channel as well. Thank you so much, and have a great day. See ya.